What? Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm sorry, it's why are you looking at me? And you drop verbs. There's no such thing as a sentence without a verb.
Well, kiss is both a verb and a noun. So why don't you give my ass a kiss or kiss my ass?
I think you just got a grammar lesson.
Before Girlfriends hit UPN in 2000 and turned into one of the most important sitcoms of its era, it almost looked completely different. The first pilot had Christina Cox playing Lynn and Leslie Silva playing Toni. Tracy Ellis Ross and Golden Brooks were already in place as Joan and Maya. That version was the blueprint Mara Brock-Akil used to test the waters, but it never made it to air. Think about it. The world almost got a show with that lineup. If the network had said yes, we might have been talking about a whole different kind of legacy. Leslie Silva was known for more dramatic work at the time. She wasn't known for comedy. Her version of Toni was written with more of a serious dramatic bite. Not the bougie, over-the-top shade machine that Jill Marie Jones turned into a fan favorite. Christina Cox came from an action background. She did stunt work, physical acting, and strong supporting TV roles. Her Lynn wasn't bohemian, spacey, or musical like the character Persia White perfected. She was more grounded, sarcastic, and tough. If you stretch that out over 8 seasons and 172 episodes, we're talking about a totally different type of show. Imagine Girlfriends without the bougie diva dynamic. Leslie Silva's Toni might not have been the funny frenemy. She could have been written as a polished dramatic counterweight to Joan's neurotic energy. That would have left most of the comedy sitting on Maya and Joan. Now think about Lynn. Persia White gave us a broke, eccentric, constantly mooching, free spirit who was always in some wild situation. That character worked because she was unpredictable. She was comic relief. She was chaos in human form. Christina Cox's Lynn would have been sharper. Instead of a hippie crash landing on Joan's couch, you'd have a sarcastic roommate with some edge.
I want to look sexy for Charles.
Charles? Charles have a last name?
I don't know. He drives a Porsche.
It's a well-known fact that men who drive Porsches have small...
It's not. Joan used to date him.
Charles. Toe-sucking Charles?
Oh, he sucks toes.
You cannot date Joan Charles.
And that changes everything. If that pilot had made it to series, Girlfriends would have leaned more dramatic than comedic. Joan would have been the neurotic lead. Maya would have been the funny working-class friend. But Toni and Lynn would have been grounded, less outrageous, less comedic. The balance wouldn't have been there. Maybe it would have been a 1 or 2 season dramedy instead of a full sitcom classic. Because Jill Marie Jones and Persia White didn't just fill roles. They gave the show its edge, its bounce, its replay value. Toni's bougie shade kept it spicy. Lynn's antics kept it unpredictable. That balance created the perfect four-corner dynamic. Joan's neurotic lead, Toni's bougie diva, Lynn's wildcard, and Maya's working-class realist. That pilot was shot in 1999. It tested at the network. UPN and the producers didn't feel the chemistry. Jill Marie Jones said when she came on, it was a straight-up recast, not a rewrite. They needed a different energy. Persia White joined last, and she later said it felt like they finally found the missing piece. That's why when you watch the official premiere, the rhythm just feels right. If they hadn't recast, the arcs we know and love might never have existed. Toni and Joan's friendship breaking down, Toni's bougie lifestyle clashing with Maya's hustle, Lynn floating from job to job and couch to couch. Those storylines worked because the actresses nailed those archetypes. Would Leslie Silva's Toni have delivered those legendary shade matches? Would Christina Cox's Lynn have been the broke hippie fans loved? The truth is, if that cast had stuck, Girlfriends probably wouldn't have become a phenomenon. It might have been another short-lived UPN sitcom instead of a cultural staple. Jill Marie Jones's Toni and Persia White's Lynn were breakout characters. Fans quoted Toni's lines. They laughed at Lynn's antics. That's what gave the show longevity. Without them, the show loses flavor. The recast worked because it created rhythm. Joan had a diva to clash with. Maya had a hippie to clown on. The audience had 4 distinct personalities. That dynamic carried the show for 172 episodes. If UPN had stuck with Christina Cox and Leslie Silva, Girlfriends might have been a footnote. Instead, the recast turned it into a legend. And it's wild to think how close we came to having a totally different version of one of the most important sitcoms of the 2000s.